You've probably heard the phrase that more millionaires are made during a recession than any other time. Now, why is that true? It honestly sounds like it could be a bit backwards and you'd expect it to be the other way around. However, there is truth to it, and I'm going to show you guys some facts and figures behind that phrase and why it is true. So, without further ado, I think it's most important to start with the fact that a lot of this can be traced back to terms used in the stock market and how the stock market is performing. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of background that the average bull run, which means basically that the market is consistently trending upwards, lasts for 9 years with a 476% return. That's right, 9 years of consistent growth over the long run there for a 476% return. Now let's go ahead and look at the opposite, which is a bear market correlating to a recession. And a bear market lasts on average for 14 months with a 41% decline. Now that is using data from the last 120 years. So there is a lot to look out there and a lot of data factoring into those figures. So with that in mind, now we can already get a picture of where this kind of phrase is coming from. But what does that mean in actuality? How are people making money? It's easy to say that, okay, a lot of things are going to be dropping in a recession. You know, we see that 41% decline over the 14-month period, but where's the money coming from? How are people taking advantage of that? And where are they growing that money to become millionaires when something overall that seems negative is happening? Now we are going to get right into that, but I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is very fitting. It is Moomoo, a stock trading platform. You can trade stocks, ETFs, options, and more on this platform. And if you guys actually sign up using my link in the description, you guys can get 1 guaranteed free stock just for signing up, 4 more stocks for any deposit. That's even, yes, $1 deposit will get you 4 more free stocks. By the way, even if you have an account with another brokerage, you can still open a Moomoo account, meaning you can claim those free stocks, the 1 free stock regardless for signing up, and more free stocks even by just depositing $1. And yes, there are actually ways to get even more free stocks, but I will leave that information in the description, which includes more things like deposits. But with that being said, Moomoo is a fantastic platform because you can trade all of those stocks, as well as the fact that it has a social side to the app where you can communicate with other traders and see what people are thinking, express your opinion, get other opinions, and kind of look at the whole market in one place. You don't have to be jumping around from place to place. It's all in one app on your phone, on the Moomoo app. And honestly guys, if we are talking about making money, to take advantage of getting free stocks is a no-brainer. And yes, you can get lucky and get a free stock like Apple or Google, but even if you end up with a lower tier stock, you can still hold on to those, you can sell them, you can trade them, and you can invest that money however you'd like to grow your portfolio as a whole. Either way, getting any sort of free money is not a bad deal, if I do say so myself. So I would go ahead and take advantage of that. It would also help me out as well. So with that being said, thank you so much to Moomoo for sponsoring this video. I do appreciate it, and it's very fitting. It's a good time to get in on the action and get some free stocks to get yourself an amazing start, even for a $1 deposit. It's a no-brainer. So let's go ahead and get back to the video. So guys, some examples of how people are making money are things like picking up stocks on the cheap. If the whole market has crashed and you know that likely a bull run is going to follow after a massive decline, you guys can pick up those shares for a low amount and hold on to them over the next period of growth, which on average is about 9 years, and you're going to have huge returns. Now, if you're doing that on a massive scale, that's how people are making a lot of money very quickly right after a recession happens. They're putting their money into places where a lot of people are scared to put their money. You know, after a crash or during a crash, a lot of people are thinking, this is the end all be all. We don't want to be putting our money in a place that's crashing, that's so low. Look at where it was and now it's so low. People get scared. That's the reaction that people have, and that's why there are the few people that are disregarding the fear aspect and looking at it as an opportunity. They're seeing these prices and seeing that opportunity to have high growth from a lower price point. And now that's not to say that the stock market is the only place to be making money. You can look at things like the housing market as well. In the 2008 collapse, when prices of housing just plummeted and hit the floor, if you had the capital to be investing in property, you were going to see massive returns on those investments as all those property prices began to rise and rise and rise. And then we've seen something extraordinary here, which is during this pandemic, we've actually had an unprecedented rise in real estate. So that's kind of the bonus for those people that invested in 2008 and 2009 and 10. They were picking up at such a low price, and then over the course, as everything has been raising back up for the most part, they've been making huge amounts of money on their properties, and now it's been an unbelievable growth that we haven't seen before, just the cherry on top. So that's just another example, but I do want to look at some more facts here. Now, while the pandemic wasn't a recession at the time during 2020, there was still a huge amount of economic damage that happened, and we have some interesting statistics to go along with it. So I do want to restate that even though 2008, for example, was an actual recession, the 2020 economic damage isn't classified as a recession. It looks like in 2022 we are heading into a recession, but this was a different case, a bunch of damage, not necessarily classified as a recession, but still very relevant for some statistics. We actually have from Credit Suisse some research that found that globally in 2020, during this time, we went from 5.2 million millionaires to 56.1 million millionaires. That is a staggering number. 10 times the amount of millionaires were made during this time because of some of the policies and things that happened during the economic damage across the board. A lot of people were actually gaining a huge amount of money and a huge amount of resources during this time, while unfortunately most people were suffering. However, further data is a bit more interesting to me. This says, from again Credit Suisse research, the number of ultra high net worth individuals, which is usually defined as having assets of more than $30 million, grew by 24% in 2020. 24% growth of people that have $30 million or more in assets. Now that is definitely an interesting number. And by the way, that is the fastest rate of increase since 2003. So after that dot-com bubble. So what we see there though, guys, is $30 million in assets or more grew by 24%. That is a massive number of people having an ultra high amount of money. Now those numbers, especially the millionaire numbers, do come from things like assets of your house value, your stock portfolio, the things you're invested in. And like we said, a lot of those things actually didn't take as much of a hit as we thought during that time. Now things are looking a bit more dire in 2022. But it's all of those things combined that is actually allowing people that had the money, that had the resources to allocate into certain investments like the stock market, housing, and whatnot, to actually see their value grow. And it's happening again now, because in 2022, with this looming recession, we are seeing bigger situations of declines, followed by likely what is going to be huge returns on a lot of different sectors. The housing market is an interesting one because it's yet to really fall. It's been skyrocketing upwards, and it doesn't look likely to fall in the future because of some of the different factors like the supply not meeting the demand for housing. So that's kind of a different one on its own for now, but everything else across the board between inflation and prices and the stock market, and now we have crypto into the mix as well, which has taken quite a beating, is going to see some very interesting things happening in the following years. And that is why people that are going to be wealthy from this are sitting on some money or starting to invest slowly month after month, week after week into some of these assets to get them cheap and let them ride the wave up after everything corrects itself and starts beginning to trend upwards once again. So with some of those figures in mind, that is the basic idea of how millionaires are made during a recession. Of course, there are so many nitty-gritty details that we could go ahead and get into, but I want to keep this video concise and show you guys some pretty clear examples of what's going on, how people are making money, and where does that wealth come from. Now, of course, there are many different factors of why this can't be perfect for everybody. If you're losing your job during a recession, you're not going to have the resources you would probably like to be putting into things like stocks and property and crypto. However, for the people that do, they are going to be making huge returns, almost guaranteed. With the way that things go, it's very cyclical, and people are going to be coming out of this on the right end with a lot more money than they had before by picking things up on those cheaper price points. So that is the basics. That is how that one works. How more millionaires are made during a recession than any other time, using some of those factors and some of those fundamental ideas about the market and how it responds to different things. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Do check out Moomoo in the link in the description. Like I said, guys, even $1 deposit will get you guys a bunch of free stocks, and it does help me out as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.